Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here. We could list of 36 properties, and something I noticed. I went through the sales over the last about 10 days or so, and there were about 5 or 6 really good deals where the buyers paid a good price for that home, and there were about 40 of them that I went, wow, they paid a lot of money for that. So like precedent, like 2 weeks ago, we had a home that sold at $550, and then we just saw the same home sell at $570. Really not a lot of difference beyond some light fixtures, similar size property, similar model. So, and surprisingly enough, it was an out-of-town agent. So you really need to look at that and say, number one, a local agent really matters, and number two, is your agent going to treat your money like it's theirs? Because I've seen it where, we've even had clients where we've said, hey, maybe you should back off a bit on this one. And, at the interest, really the buyer's interest came first. And we weren't afraid to say, you know what, we'll go find another house. And I wonder how many agents out there actually do that, if they actually put the deal first or if they put the client first. And I think that's an important distinction you're going to find with us versus them. So anyway, if you want some good help, you can reach out to us. Thursday is the buyer class in Milton. So at 7 o'clock, we're running a buyer class. And I think it's going to be a very enlightening experience. We talk about the 8 steps to buying a home, the 4 things lenders look for. There's 3 incentives for first-time buyers combined could equal more than $13,000 of free government money, essentially, to buy your first house. We talk about how to beat other buyers to the best new listings and all the different steps and costs involved with the process. It takes a little over 2 hours to do. Then there's some question and answer and a bit of a survey at the end. So if you want to come, all you need to do is bring a food bank donation and go to miltonbuyerclass.com, or you can click the link over there. And I think you're really, really going to like it. So let's get to today's list. This one on First Line is 3.7 acres. It's vacant land. The 2 costs you have to be careful of is how much extra is it going to cost to hook everything up. So to drill the well, to do all the different things, electrical, blah, blah, blah. And then also the building costs too. That's the things that you're looking at on top of this. And financing vacant land can be you oftentimes have to put a very substantial down payment, because in the bank size, the land's kind of dead. You can't rent it. There's no income potential. So a lot of times we've seen 50, 60, 70% down payments required for vacant land. So definitely check with somebody. We have a lot of clients and a lot of people we speak with that want to build their dream home. You got to make sure you do it the right way, because if you buy a piece of land like this, you really got to know what you're up against. You don't want $100,000 of surprise costs. This one on Dairy number 83, the price is $330. And from what I can tell, and it's pretty bad when I can't even really tell the model from the photos, this is 1195 square feet, and the toilets are up. This one has been selling around $360 before, so it's actually a really good deal. I know there's an $80 a month fee on these, but I don't care, because the ones that don't have the $80 fees are getting a lot more than this, and I think that it actually looks really, really good. You've got the upgraded version with the 2 bathrooms upstairs. Jump all over that. It's a steal of a deal. The price range itself under $350 creates its own momentum, but that is very, very strong. So $344.9, that would be one that eventually, when it sells, is going to be much more to the buyer's benefit, assuming it doesn't sell for $20,000 over. Marks is $344.9, so this is a smaller version of the other one. It's smaller by like 150 square feet, and they're asking $15,000 more. If you need more context and perspective, anything in this list, you can call us and we'll get you in right away, or just email us too. So this one on Hampshire, it's like 1125 square feet. Nice 9-foot ceilings versus the previous ones we were looking at, the Mattamy ones. And they're all selling plus or minus around that $350 range, really depending on, details, finishes, things like that. But it looks good. It looks like it's well within range. This one on Patterson looks like a really killer deal. Now, again, 12 years old. This home is probably around there. Watch the roof, watch those kind of things, because there might be some maintenance coming up. But we just sold this model with a finished basement in the 380s. So at $360, yeah, it doesn't have a finished basement. The adjustment on that is maybe $10,000. It's just, bottom line is, this is another really, really strong deal. And there's going to be some development just north of here, so you definitely want to pay attention to that and just make sure that everything looks good. You might find Patterson becomes a bit of a busier street as time goes on. This one at 384. These models have kind of capped at 380. I don't know, to me it seems a little bit high, but I've been surprised at some of the village town sales for a while. That really is how big that room is. It's not, it's small. The 3-bedroom on this one, they basically cut a room in half and put a wall in between, and it's maybe like it's 8 feet wide on both sides. So if you put a queen bed, you better not have a big headboard or you're jumping over the bed to get to the other side of the room. So we'll see what happens with that. Panton is 4049. And so this same model with more upgrades, backing onto a busy road, and we saw the effects of, we saw actually most people find that as negative. I talked about the opposite side of that last week. This picture is kind of useless. It's a hallway. It doesn't show anything. Anyway, it's that one sold in the let's just call it between 410 and 420 because I can't give exact prices because of privacy laws, unless you request it. So you can email me and ask for that. But 4049 seems like a very good price. The thing about Panton, there's lots of townhouses on that street. It's tough to find parking on the weekends. So Costigan, 424. The problem I have with these ones is that they're very, very narrow. They're only 20 feet, and it doesn't seem like much, but even some of the Mattamy ones, 23 feet. That extra 3 feet makes a big, big difference. Everything is very long and narrow. Like, where do you put your television? The only place to do it is right at the end here. And same thing with the bedrooms. If you look upstairs, the bedrooms, these ones are kind of narrow. 8.86 is one of the measurements on the bedrooms. Finished basement's nice. The other thing that at 1379 Costigan, which is basically right around the corner, there's a 6-story building right there. So behind this one, and I think they cleverly took the angle on this, you will find a building. So if you look at some of the pictures, you can kind of see a building in the background. To me, it makes your backyard seem much more sort of fishbowl-ish. We've got Sherwood at 424.9. Now, I believe this one only has one full bathroom upstairs. It does have a pretty good amount of space here. We saw a very similar model on Donnelly sell, I think towards the end of last year, and they got like 418 for it. Finished basement, very similar. So appreciation, they're right in the zone here. I like that location for being close to that main Thompson corridor, the leisure center, GO train, Center for the Arts, library, all that kind of stuff. This one on Cargill, actually, the same model sold twice in the last week, right near 450. So it actually looks like a very strong deal. We've seen, I really think those two sales kind of raise the bars on these particular models. It's really one of the cheapest ways to get a double garage. So you don't have a backyard, but you have a double garage with a deck above. Cargill is 439. It's a Hillsview end. They're starting to creep up there. The Hills Views, there's one here. I think the home after this one on Gollins, that's an end unit asking 450. We've seen a handful of them go up in the 440s, but we've also seen slightly 100, 200 square feet bigger go for well over 450. So it's that little gravitational pull. There's a bit of a hand-scraped hardwood on this one on Gollins. It's kind of weird how they had the plant in the background there. Gas stove. I don't know if that was an artistic touch or if it was kind of a mistake, but the big thing with this one, you get the 4 bedrooms for 439. You don't see a lot of them in this range under 450. It seems like the towns that have 4 bedrooms are pushing above 450. So Thompson looks good. This is 1,600 square feet. It's one of my favorite layouts. It's called the Longmore. Again, Mattamy built, nice floor plan, big dining room here, and then you've got a kitchen with a breakfast bar open to the family room. So there's no separate room like you find in the Lindbrooks, and the bedrooms are all pretty decent size upstairs. And there you go, 439 seems very, very reasonable for what you're getting there. This one on Woodward is a 60 by 160 foot lot. I even like these little leaded glass windows up in the corner here. That also usually indicates that the house is built in some cases before the mid-1950s, so you got to be careful of wiring, plumbing, and some of those things to make sure that it's all up to code. So Downstairs looks like there's a basement apartment. $442 for the size of this land, and having 2 rentable portions is not the worst investment property I've seen in Milton. I still think you can find better elsewhere, but when you add up all the appreciation and all the things that might happen in the future on this, it might be worth it to be a little cash flow negative if you know where this area is going. So anyway, I like it. I like the size of the lot. It's bigger than most of the homes in that neighborhood. This one on Holly's 1,800 square feet, very similar to the other models that I told you about, with the double garage and the deck above. And so you've got your main floor here. You've got lots of windows, great place for an office. You can see that these guys have a nice view, potentially the park just across the road here. And yeah, so your main floor, I've seen people put in kitchenettes, bathrooms, that kind of thing in that main area so that you can actually use it as a main floor bedroom. There's really no stairs for an older relative. And there's your rest of your house. Your master has that turret style, and that's what you see from the back. So I suppose you have a bit of a side yard here. Now, having the park right across the road potentially could be a very good thing as a substitute for having green space. So $449 seems good, especially this is a little bit bigger than the 2 that sold on the weekend. Marks is $458. This is a Hillsview end, 1,510 square feet. And I think they're aiming a bit high. I think that it's going to be tough for them to cross the $450 mark. They do have a finished basement, and you can approximate the value for a finished basement right now in today's market at about $25 a square foot, more or less. But sometimes if it's really nice, it could even be higher than that. But I would say the value of a finished basement on this wouldn't be more than 15. It's probably closer to about 10. But again, that depends a lot on how it's finished and a little bit about the layout too. The trend is usually to have more open versus smaller rooms. Irving Terrace, $464.9. 3-bedroom, it's 1,717 square feet. Oh, little trick here. I showed this to a client on the weekend. That fireplace has these little brass things that kind of date the home. They're just on magnets. Rip them off. The fireplace looks way better. And so upgraded countertops, and then you've got your finished basement on this one. And it's all good. It definitely looks nice. These models, actually, funny enough, I think there's much better value in these homes than we're finding in some of the newer areas. I think you get a lot more for your money. Now, I can see in the photos that this roof is starting to look a little bit sort of fuzzy, I guess you can say. It's probably on the doorstep of needing some work on that roof. How much is a roof? Something like that. I'm guessing for the semi-detached, probably $4,000 to $5,000. Yates is $469. It says it's a Hayden model, but I think the Haydens are more than 1,400 square feet. There's no photos here. Definitely in line with what else is sold. There was one with a finished basement on Armstrong, which I would say is similar in traffic patterns, that sold for a lot less. 1,749 square feet on, I think it's called Zest. It sounds, or it looks like Zeus, but it's pronounced Zest. And there's a small, I think, kind of a weird room here. It might be a good office, but 480 seems good because we've seen smaller homes, a lot smaller, 1,400 square feet, sell for more than this one. There was one that sold, actually there's a couple versions of the Spirit Plan 3, 1,600 square feet that have sold for 500 or even more. This one on Centennial Forest is interesting. This is an area called Drury Park, and so very popular area. We're actually seeing a lot of homes turn over here, but not on the MLS because there's such a strong demand to live here. I've shown 2 private sales that nobody even knows about in this area because we've done a lot of marketing in here. We have clients that are looking here. It's very hard to find a decent age, not something from the 50s or 60s, and something with a single or double car garage with a manageable size lot that's a 1-story living. And so this area is basically it in town. It's unfortunate, but the builders are building a lot of 2 stories. They do it because they can sell them for more because they're selling on square footage. But this area has very, very healthy demand. A lot of these guys have bought the new Green Life building that's closing over at Whitmore, Maine. Anyway, this one has a finished basement, and it also has the green space behind. The single garages that are kind of plain were going for around $460 recently, so $494 should get them a lot of action. That's what I heard happened. As soon as they listed, they got a lot of activity. This one at 510 on Bowring is 1,900 square feet. And I actually think it's right in line with what else they've been selling for. And Bowring is a nice quiet street. Again, you got to watch the age of the roof on something like this. It's probably getting close to 10 years. You can see that fuzziness in the photos. This one on Yates is the same model, and there's nothing about this one that beats the previous one. They're asking $9,000 more. So we'll clear that one off with the next. This one on Posbu, interesting, because these models have been kind of hovering. They were ready for a jump. One sold at $550, another one sold at $550, then one sold at $570 recently, last week. And so we're in a position now where I go $548 doesn't seem like such a bad deal, especially when you've got some nice finishes in this house. It's only one room on the main floor. It's 1,638 square feet. However, it's got a wider lot as well. A lot of these ones you can fence even further out. I bet they're going to sell extremely quickly on this one. Looks like a good deal. Now this one on Lorne Scots kind of gets to the point. South side of Lorne Scots backs onto Main Street commercial stuff, but they've got a longer lot. This one's 50 by 120. A garage, double car garage. It looks like they put a new door on it. Renovated kitchen. And then you also have a pool in the back with what looks like some green space. All in all, right away, I know this one's going to attract a lot of attention. $554 seems amazing. So don't sleep on this one. It's not going to last long. It's a very popular area. Marshall's, what's this one? This one's about 2,200 square feet. It's called an Albion Bay model. There's one up at 639 that backs onto green space right now. Don't love the lighter color floors, and I think that a lot of buyers kind of feel the same way, is that the honey color isn't exactly like a booster for them. But there's no carpet in the house, which can be a good thing for some buyers. And the kitchen looks terrific. So I think they're in a good spot at $599. Ruddy's $629. And so we're looking at this one with a finished basement, upgraded countertops. It looks like there's no carpet up on the second floor on this one either. All in all, $629 seems fair. To put a fence in there might be about $1,500 by the time you share with your neighbors. Could be a little bit more than that. Vaughn Court is $640, 2,477 square feet. Never been my favorite model. I find the family room, it's like they should kind of start the floor here. The family room seems small. It's hard to fit a dining room, and I find the bedrooms are small compared to the rest of the homes. And the reason why is because you've got two family rooms. So even though the aggregate size is big, when you look at the living areas, they take away from some of the rooms like the bedrooms. They always seem to sell well though, and I think that they're actually going to probably sell this one pretty quick. One with a finished basement recently sold, I think, up in the 660, 670 range, probably in the last 30 days. This one's called a Mannington Corner. It's the stone and stucco elevation. Nice quiet street, Marshall Crescent. It's in the Hawthorne Village School District. Anytime you've got the corners, you also have the separate living, separate dining. Main floor looks terrific here. Lots of cupboard space. And then you've got upstairs laundry. You also have a little bit of a gathering space in addition to the 4 bedrooms. That's the gathering space right there. It's a great spot for kids to play video games or to do homework, kind of a family lounge area, and it comes in very handy. So anyway, $649 seems like a decent price there. You're about 2,720 square feet. Hartley, $662. And right about now, I'm feeling like this is a long list, but we only have a couple left. And so skylight here is probably going to add a lot of natural light to this space. And the green counter probably is not, I would say, most people's favorite. It doesn't really give you an impression of size because it says it's more than 3,000 square feet. Just looking at the photos, I'd almost say, well, it looks like it's like 2,300 square feet. For that price, anything less than 700, if it's well upgraded, is not really that far off. I used to not be a big fan of these ones on Pringle until I saw a few, and they're actually really nice inside. They have 9-foot ceilings on both floors, which is extremely rare. And this one, I believe, is about 2,400 square feet. You've got these nice kind of old school style picture windows, almost like the one we saw in Woodward. It's a very open concept design. However, they don't usually sell for this price. We've seen them. The go zone for these ones is generally like kind of like 610 to maybe 650 or so. We don't see a lot crossing 650. I suppose they could try whatever they want. And then we've got one on Roper here. What are we looking at here? We're around the same. We're actually a little bit smaller than the one on Marshall. And I would take Marshall over this one just based on the pictures and what we're seeing here. And you'd think that they would put a door here. They just have open plumbing, which is kind of weird. Anyway, they probably did that when the counter came in. And the kitchen doesn't exactly blow your mind. Gowland, not a lot of listings in the old part of town. They were smart to put the kitchen as the first shot because it's definitely the highlight of the home. It's open concept. There's lots of work done on the main floor here. You've got double ovens, almost like the layout of a new home, but it's in the older area. And the photos jump around a lot: basement, upstairs, inside, outside, that kind of thing. There's a wine room there, so you get a bit of a cold space. Nice looking house. And I think the price, based on what we've seen in the area, seems to be in line. Agnew, $725. Talked about this one here. Dark kitchen with lighter floors, and then you have carpet there. So you have four different kinds of woods, materials, and floors. I don't think it's going to work, and it's a shame because when you're asking $725, you have to get the little things right. And it was a simple builder decision to do, and the buyers just didn't have that awareness at that time, so it's going to cost them. Sounds harsh, but it's true. Wet Loft is 3,256 square feet. It's a nice looking house here. And I mean, over on Gooch, you've got one for $300,000 more, and yes, it has a pool and a bit of a pie-shaped lot, but if you don't need all that stuff, you can still get a pretty darn nice looking house here and a good size on the street, very in line with what else is sold. There was one on Livick Trail without the green space with a little bit wider lot that's sold in the 840s. We sold one that's a little bit bigger but without any of that stuff in the 840s recently. This one on Cusick I don't think has a chance. If you're going to sell over $1 million, you have to have privacy. I understand the benefit of having a pool. Also, the kitchen's small in this model. It's called a Coleman model, so it's only 3,000 square feet. Only. It's funny how we say that. Finished basement in the pool, but they got neighbors right behind them. They are a bigger lot. They're 50 by 100 feet, but I can't see this one going anywhere near over $1 million. Makes no sense. And the last one is a fun one. They're selling 312 acres for $5.85 million. You've got a private lake estimated to be 185 acres, so you could really build your own island if you wanted to. It's a former quarry site, and so a vineyard. There's all kinds of things that you could do, but we're talking mega bucks to actually put all the rest of it in, because it's kind of like you're going to have to do a heck of a lot of landscaping and finishing on this one. It is pretty close to town though, and it's under the Niagara Escarpment Commission. So in town, if you want to do anything, you want to put an addition on your house, blah blah blah, you go to the planning department. And so there's a swath of land that goes sort of around, like to the west, a little bit to the north and the south of Milton, that's not under town planning. It's under Niagara Escarpment Commission. So their job is to really protect and promote the interests of the escarpment and make sure that everything is environmentally friendly and in line with the kind of properties in the area too. So that's something that the person who wants to develop on this land might run into them. There's different opinions about whether or not the NEC is more difficult or the same to deal with as the planning department in town, but you might find yourself at probably best cases they're as best to deal with as the town. They're as good to deal with as the town, and worst cases they could be a lot more difficult. So anyway, that's the list for today. If you have any questions, give us a call. And I know it was a long video, but a lot of properties, and there were some good deals, especially at the start of the video. We'll see you tomorrow.